Young survivors of Wednesday's school shooting in Florida have announced a national march on Washington to demand political action on gun control. Student organizers told U.S. media that they are determined to make Wednesday's shooting a turning point in the national gun debate. The attack, which left 17 students and staff members dead, was the deadliest U.S. school shooting since 2012. Yesterday, protesters chanted "Shame on you" to U.S. lawmakers and the president. Mr. Trump last year he would never infringe on the right to keep arms, a long-running and contested debate within the U.S. In his first public comments on the gun control issue since the attack, Mr. Trump blamed the Democrats for not passing legislation when they controlled Congress during the early years of Barack Obama's administration. He also rebuked the FBI for missing signals before Wednesday's school shooting, after the organization admitted it had failed to act on a tip-off about the suspected shooter Nicholas Cruz. What are the students' plans? Speaking on U.S. television networks on Sunday morning, student survivors from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas announced their March for Our Lives campaign. They are planning to march on Washington on the 24th of March to demand that children and their families become a priority to U.S. lawmakers. They want other protests to happen simultaneously in other cities on the same day. "We are losing our lives while the adults are playing around," Cameron Koski, a survivor from the school, said. It is one of many student-led protests amassing support on social media in the wake of Wednesday's attack. On Saturday, students and their parents, as well as politicians, took part in an emotionally charged rally in Fort Lauderdale, close to Parkland. Arguably the most memorable moment came when high school student Emmy Gonzalez took to the podium and attacked the U.S. president and other politicians for accepting political donations from the National Rifle Association, NRA, a powerful gun rights lobby group. "If the president wants to come up to me and tell me to my face that it was a terrible tragedy and how nothing is going to be done about it, I'm going to happily ask him how much money he received from the National Rifle Association," said Ms. Gonzalez. "It doesn't matter because I already know." $30 million, the 18-year-old said, referring to donations during Mr. Trump's presidential campaign. "To every politician who is taking donations from the NRA, shame on you," said Ms. Gonzalez, who took cover on the floor of her secondary school's auditorium during the attack. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, the NRA spent $11.4 million, £8.1 million, supporting Mr. Trump in the 2016 campaign, and $19.7 million opposing Hillary Clinton. What is Mr. Trump's stance on gun control? The president's views on gun control have shifted over time. In recent years, he has pledged to fiercely defend the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which protects people's right to keep and bear arms. Last year, he told an NRA convention he would never, ever infringe on that right. In a tweet late on Saturday, the Republican president accused the Democrats of not acting on gun legislation when they had both the House and Senate during the Obama administration. "Because they didn't want to, and now they just talk," he wrote, referring to criticism from Democrats following Wednesday's shooting. Mr. Trump, who on Friday met survivors of the attack, has also blamed the shooter's mental health and the FBI's failings. The U.S. news network CNN has invited Florida lawmakers and the president to attend a town hall event with survivors of the attack on Wednesday. Saturday's rally coincided with a gun show in Florida. Hundreds of people attended the event at the Dade County Fairgrounds, despite calls to cancel it. How Trump turned against gun control. 5 reasons U.S. gun control won't happen. What do we know about the suspect? Mr. Cruz, 19, is a former student at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. He was reportedly investigated by local police and the Department of Children and Family Services in 2016 after posting evidence of self-harm on the Snapchat app, according to the latest U.S. media reports. A depressed loner crazy about guns, tales of heroism from Florida Tech Child Services said he had planned to buy a gun, but authorities determined he was already receiving adequate support, the reports say. The reports come after the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, admitted it did not properly follow up on a tip-off about Mr. Cruz last month. That the 5th of January tip was not the only information the FBI received. In September, a Mississippi man reported to the law enforcement agency a disturbing comment left on a YouTube video under Mr. Cruz's name. Florida Governor Rick Scott called for FBI Director Christopher Wray to resign over the failures to act. In a late tweet on Saturday, the president rebuked the organization for their handling of tip-offs. Very sad that the FBI missed all of the many signals sent out by the Florida school shooter. This is not acceptable. They are spending too much time trying to prove Russian collusion with the Trump campaign.